the 3rd Armored Corps, Command Chaplain, Sergeant Major Dustin Hall.
Have you ever stood before a mountain? Have you ever stood at the bottom of a mountain and just beheld its magnificent size? Now, if you have, you probably at some point thought it'd be wonderful to climb it, to make it to the top, to see everything from the top of that mountain. Have you ever stood before a mountain and maybe it was a really hard task? Maybe that mountain represented a lot of responsibility and you just felt alone. Until someone, maybe it was a family member, maybe it was a friend, came beside you and stood together with you. And it exhilarated your spirit. And it gave you strength that you didn't know you had in you to keep going one more step and then another up the mountain. I suspect that many of you know what that feels like as you practice your faith tradition of Ramadan. You've been denying yourself, sacrificing, so that you can make it to the top of that mountain, not for the sake of the climb, but because there's always something at the top of that mountain that's worth having. See, I stood, if you were with me about 2 years ago, you would have been standing at the base of a mountain in El Paso called the North Franklin Mountain. And as I was looking at the top, I had this feeling of being a little bit alone. Until a quiet presence came alongside me. His name was Joshua Alta from Nigeria. He was a sergeant major and we were attending the academy together. And when I told Joshua that I was going to go up this mountain, that I'm going to make it to the top, Joshua said, "You're not going to go alone." Have you ever had a moment where you stood before a mountain feeling alone, and then the presence of someone else came alongside you? That's why you're here tonight. That's why Chaplain Samaro invited me and invited us to come and join you. See, because you can do something really hard and really difficult, like denying yourself, fasting, sacrificing. And yes, you probably have the strength and the fortitude to do that alone. But when you come together, it exhilarates your spirit. When someone's standing with you. My motto for you tonight is stand firm, but stand together. And those of us who are in the room that are not your faith tradition are here to stand together with you. To stand firm in who we are, but to stand together. Can we do that tonight? Good. Then we're all in the right place. See, because what happens when you start climbing that mountain is eventually, no matter how good of a climber you are, no matter how good of shape you're in, eventually, if you stay on the mountain long enough, something happens. As you're climbing, you'll put your foot in a place where maybe it doesn't belong, or maybe it wasn't well thought out, or maybe you just didn't know. In that moment, you make what we would call a misstep. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect. Now for you in practicing Ramadan, I don't know what that means. Maybe there was a moment you could have been more selfless and you weren't. That's called a misstep. Nobody's perfect. The question is, what do you do in that moment? How do you respond to a misstep? Now I'll tell you, there are two options. You have two choices. And the first one, it makes a lot of sense. you can stop and freeze. And you can take inventory of the situation. And you can think about the step. And you can, I'll tell you, it sounds like wisdom, but it's probably the worst thing you can do. There's a better option. And if you've been on a mountain before, you know that as soon as you feel the rocks start to give way below your foot, as soon as you start feeling things shift, the best thing you can do is take the next step. Just make it a better one. Just make sure that you get out of that situation and get to a better place, not a worse one. Because I don't know if you've ever climbed a mountain before, but I bet you can relate to making a misstep. And then this happens. As you climb the mountain, you start to hear these voices from way down below. From people who are at the very bottom of the mountain, who didn't have the courage to brave it. And they start saying things. And they develop narratives. And they start making accusations. And they start saying things like, I told him he should have worn different shoes. What was he thinking going up there so unprepared? He's climbing a mountain that was foolish. But if you've ever been to the top of a mountain, you know it's not about the climb. You know that there's something very special up top that's worth having. I challenge you not to listen to the small voices that don't have the courage to brave the mountain. Take the next step. Just make it a better one. But I told you that I wasn't alone. Because we both stand firm in who we are, but we stand together. So Joshua Alta was making the way up the mountain with me. And one of the most remarkable things happens. One of the most remarkable things happens when we're two. When we're more than this. Anytime my foot started to give way, it started to slip, an arm reached out for me. And it was my brother, Joshua. There's so much benefit when we stand firm in who we are, what we believe, in the goal, the prize at the top of the mountain, but we stand together. Now Joshua taught me something at the top of that mountain, and it was so worth having. Do you want to know what it was? Yes. I think we're out of time. Of course I'll tell you. When we got to the top, Joshua and I worshiped God. We worshiped the Lord. And he told me, Dustin, in Nigeria, we have something that we say. We have something that we say. It's just an expression. It doesn't really have a strong definition. It's a sound, but it's a praise. It's an appreciation. And it goes like this. Iya, iya, eh. And Josh and I got to the top and we worshiped God. Iya, iya, eh. And it was a sweet moment with a brother. It was a sweet moment with the Lord. And I know that some mountains are worth climbing. And I know that you have a mountain before you called Ramadan. And it requires sacrifice. And it requires hard effort. And you'll have small voices that say things. And I encourage you to be strong. Stand firm in your goal. But stand together. You see, that's not some wisdom from a sergeant major. That wisdom goes back and it connects us, believe it or not, about 4,000 years ago. To a man you know well named Abraham. You see, Abraham was about 175 years old at this moment, 4,000 years ago. And he was in a tent in this beautiful land called Hebron. And there was beautiful tree orchids and the winds were just amazing there to move the seed and scatter it across the land. But Abraham had lived a good life. And he was at the end of his life. And two individuals showed up to his funeral. One came from the east and one came from the west. Two individuals who had not spoken in almost 75 years. Ishmael and Isaac, his sons. And in fact, in all of recorded history, both the Bible and the Quran, we only see Isaac and Ishmael together one time after they were separated. And it was at the funeral of Abraham. One simple line in history captures it, and it says this: they came together and they buried their father. You see, even as a Christian, and even as Muslims, we can stand firm in who we are, but we can stand together. And that's what happened 4,000 years ago in the cave of Machpelah, where Abraham was buried. Two men with different belief systems, from different regions, from different areas, were firm in who they were. They didn't change who they were just to come together, but they stood together for a common purpose. And they stood firm and they stood together. There's a lesson for that in us. There's a lesson that you have to teach us in the army. See, we tremendously value what our Muslim soldiers bring to the fight. They bring to our formations. The ability to sacrifice and deny yourself is no small thing. What you learn from that and the spiritual strength that that creates is very much in line with what we all profess to do and to be. Because the Army never authorizes us to be selfish. In fact, selfless service is one of our values. And you can look through all of the doctrine that we have, and you'll never find one time that says you're allowed to be selfish here. No, we're to sacrifice. But key in on that word, we are to sacrifice, not suffer. Oftentimes when we suffer, we're alone. Oftentimes suffering comes from a lack of hope. But if we stand firm and we stand together, this amazing thing happens to suffering. It's given meaning and it becomes sacrifice. Chaplain Samaro invited me here, not because I'm the same faith as many of you, but because I'm different. Because he had the wisdom to communicate the message to all of us, that we can stand firm in who we are, but we can still stand together in a common purpose. And I'm so proud to stand with you. And our community is proud to stand with you. Fort Hood is proud. Our formations love what you bring to the fight. Young man, you need a balloon. Oh, he's not the one. The other guy had yellow. Folks, it's an honor to stand firm with you and to stand together as you celebrate Iftar tonight, as you celebrate the end of this hard sacrifice. Thank you for allowing us to do it with you. We proudly stand with you in our formations. The Chaplain Corps proudly supports you on behalf of Chaplain Colonel Kevin Wainwright, and the 3rd Armored Corps Commander absolutely supports you, Lieutenant General Admiral. Thank you for this invitation and for allowing us to break Iftar with you tonight. Thanks.